Hello everybody, today we are going to discuss the 17th chapter of The Invisible Man, which is titled Dr. Kemp's Visitor. So we already know Dr. Kemp because in the last chapter, in the 16th one, this new character Dr. Kemp was introduced to us. So here Dr. Kemp is in his study room. He is hard at his study, he is hard at his work, but then he was disturbed by the continuous shooting sounds, crack, 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 and he got up. He mumbled and muttered to himself that who is letting off revolver in Burdock? What are the asses about? So muttering like this, he got up, went to the south window of his room, threw open the blinds and leant over there to see what is happening. And he saw that lots of gas lamps lit and the row of shops, and there was a crowd down the hill. He muttered, crowd by the cricketers, jolly cricketers that we know, we have discussed about this, the inn. So a crowd near the cricketers, by the cricketers. So then muttering like this to himself, he stood there staring far down the hill for some time, and he did this. He stared there for about 5 minutes, during which his mind we can say traveled, thinking about the social condition and the future of Burdock. And after that he pulled down the blinds and returned to his work. And it had been about an hour. Then he was disturbed again by the sound of the doorbell. The doorbell rang and he stopped writing and he listened carefully. The maid servant went, opened the door, responded to that. But then there was no sound, nothing. He thought that she would come up and report, but she didn't come up. And he couldn't continue. He was unable to concentrate on his work, he couldn't continue. So finally he got up and came to the landing and asked, was that a letter? The servant said, no, just a runaway bell, sir, just a runaway ring. She meant that somebody was there, rang the bell and ran away, some mischief by some boy or somebody. So he went back to his room, and this time he attacked his work resolutely and worked hard continuously. It had been about 2 when he finished his work for that day, and he got up. Now he went down to his bedroom. He had already removed his coat and vest. Then he felt that he was quite thirsty. He wanted something to drink. So he went down again to the dining room to get a siphon and the bottle of whiskey. When he recrossed the dining hall, he found that there was some spot on the linoleum. Linoleum is a thick canvas fabric used for floor covering. So he found some dark spot on the linoleum, but he didn't stop there and then moved up again to his room. But then there was something gnawing his mind, and he thought he must go and confirm what the spot was. So he went down again, put the bottle and siphon down. Siphon is just a pipe to get some drink or anything. So he had that siphon. He put the 2 things down and then touched. And he found that it had the color and the stickiness of a drying blood. Now, what could it be? He couldn't understand. He went back again to his room, and there he was surprised, he was alarmed to find blood stains on the handle of the door. But then he looked at his hands. There was nothing, they were clean. And then he remembered, yes, when he came down, the door was open. So now he entered the room. Now his scientific pursuits actually made him quite an observant man. He entered the room with more, we can say, resoluteness, and there he found that the counterpane was mess of blood, and on the other side of the bed there was a depression, as if somebody had been recently sitting there. The bed sheet had been torn, and when he went to the wash basin, he saw that there was a bandage. Moreover, he heard some voice. It felt like there was a faint voice saying, "Good heavens, Kemp!" But he couldn't believe that. And he saw a bandage. Of course, we know that a scientific person, a scientist couldn't believe all such things at once. But however rational, however scientific a man is, one could retain some superstitious inkling, and so there was an eerie feeling in the mind of Dr. Kemp. And then he moved to that sink and he found that a bandage, well tied and blood stained, was hanging there in the mid-air, and it was all empty. And then the sound again, "Kemp, keep steady, firm, I am an invisible man." He couldn't believe there was clearly a sound this time. "Kemp, I am an invisible man." He couldn't understand. He said, I need your help. I'm in pain and hurt. I need your help." So Kemp was unable to understand. He advanced and then he touched the fingers of that invisible hand, and he recoiled at the touch, more alarmed. He said, "Keep firm, keep steady, Kemp, I am an invisible man." And then he gripped his hands. He struck at it. Dr. Kemp struck at it. Then the invisible hands just gripped his shoulders, and he went on telling, "Keep firm, keep steady, Kemp." But he could not. He was trying to free himself from the grip, and he struck at him in this process. But then the invisible man, who was of course quite strong, he tripped him and flung him backwards upon the bed, and just he put the sheet into his teeth, into his mouth, so that he couldn't shout as he was trying to shout. And he said, "Kemp, be sensible, be reasonable, listen to the reason. If you behave like, see, I don't want to hurt you, but if you behave like a frantic rustic, I must." So finally Kemp said, "Okay, let me get up. I'll sit here, I'll stop here where I am." And then he told him, "See, I am an invisible man, like I am a person like anybody like you, but I have got myself invisible. And I am Griffin." Then he introduced himself. "I am Griffin of University College. You know me. You know me from quite some time. I know you from for quite some time, and I made myself. It is sane and intelligible process. I made myself invisible." He said, "It's quite unreasonable right from the beginning." He said, "It's quite reasonable. It is a process. There is no trick, nothing, no magic, nothing. It is quite a reasonable process." And he said that, I'm Griffin, an albino, quite 6 feet tall, broad, red eyes, and I won a medal for chemistry in the college. So he said, that's quite okay, but what it has to do with Griffin? So he said, I am Griffin who made himself invisible. I am invisible. So he said, it is what devilry must happen to make a man invisible. He said, it is no devilry, it's no magic, it is a process, sane. So he said, it's quite horrible. Yes, it's quite horrible, but you know, I am quite in pain and tired. I am hungry. I need something to eat, something to drink. Give me some whiskey. So then he offered him that some whiskey, and he poured it in the glass, and he could see that, and he asked that, where shall I give it to you? Shall I run? I may run into you. So he said, just, and I am here. He took the glass from his hand, and he was quite amazed and surprised to see that glass being removed from him, hanging in the air, and then tilting itself. It was all quite an amazing thing for him. He had never seen this, and still he was unable to believe. And he said, right today, quite in the morning, I demonstrated all this. He said, never mind what you demonstrated. He said, I am quite in pain and I need something to eat. Moreover, it's quite chilly for a man without clothes, so it would be quite good, comfortable if I get some gown or some slippers and all, comforter, that would be really quite good. So he said, okay, I'll give it to you. And he wanted to know more about that. He couldn't believe. So, but before that, he said, I need something to eat. So he went down, checked the larder, he brought some cutlets and bread, and then he started asking about that. So he said, what were the shots, and who was shooting? He said, some fool. How it began? He said, there was a fool of a man, a kind of confederate to me, and he stole all my money. He was trying to give me a slip. He stole all my money and ran away. So he then asked about that, how and who did the shooting? Was it you? And moreover, he asked about Marvel as well. Was he too invisible? He said, no, he was not invisible. Well, and who did the shooting? Did you shoot? He said, no, some fool who shot at random, and people got all scared. And then he said, I need more to eat. I am quite hungry, in pain, and you want me to tell stories? Please give me something more. And then he was offered, he said, let me see if there is something more. I am afraid there is nothing much. Then in that way he completed his meals. Now he was well fed. He was his tummy was full, and then he said, I want something to smoke after I am over with my meals. He offered him a cigar, but he didn't wait for any knife or anything to cut it. He simply bit it with his teeth and got angry when the end loosened, and then he smoked. And he was quite happy. He said, oh, blessed gift of smoking, and it's quite lucky of me that I got into your home to be bandaged. He said, my first stroke of luck that I found you. Now we'll together do it all. Together we'll do. He was saying, I need your help, Kemp. I need your help badly. And so he wanted him to tell him more. Please tell me more before I could help you. Please tell me more about this. So he said, yes, I'll tell you, but you know, I'm quite in pain. And the story, of course, could not be completed that night, but yes, he spoke in fragments. He was quite in pain. And he said about that blood and all, it's filthy nuisance, you know, my blood showing up. When it coagulates, it shows up because I made only the living tissue invisible only when till as long as I am alive. So then he spoke about Marvel, that Marvel, he took my money and he was trying to give me a slip, but I couldn't control. I was really a fool, and he ran away. So he asked more about that, but he said, see, I'm quite tired, I am feeling sleepy, I want to sleep, I haven't slept for around 3-4 days, only in doses of an hour or so. I want to sleep. He said, you can use my room, you can be here. And then while he was going away, he said, I don't want to be caught by my fellow men, but then finally that invisible man realized that he had gotten the idea, he had put the idea into Dr. Kemp's mind, that what a fool I am, I put the idea into your mind. So this is what happens in this chapter, in the 17th chapter. He enters Dr. Kemp's room and tells him the story, though he couldn't complete the story, or he couldn't tell the whole story to him. He was very much tired and in pain and also hungry, so he could eat, and he ate the cutlet and bread, and he enjoyed whiskey and cigar as well, and then he slept. So what happened next, what he did, what they discussed later on, to know more about all that, we'll watch the next video. So till then, thank you, bye bye.